You put 3 stereotypes in the beginning of your book, Normalize It, which is coming out in April. And I really loved them because I guess for anyone listening to this, whether I really hope men are listening to this. I know we have a lot of amazing, wonderful male listeners, but maybe their partners or friends will share this to them as well. But you put down 3 different stereotypes of women. Okay, so you put a stereotype number 1 is that women want to be married. Stereotype number 2 is that women want to be mums. And stereotype number 3 is that women will ultimately put their families before their careers. And before we even just have a little discussion about those 3 stereotypes at the beginning of the book, I think someone listening to this will resonate with either all 3 of them or one of them in some way, shape or form in today's society. And I think that's where it's a really good place to start with this, because actually are we actually being true and authentic to ourselves, or are we doing it? And are we trying to live a certain way because we feel that's what's expected of us? And I think I've definitely tried to break through that a little bit, being 35 and, making my own choices where I am for currently at the moment. But it feels very stigmatized to maybe talk about them.
Yes. And I think what you're saying is also do we even know? Right. So it's a lot of us do want to be married. A lot of us do want to be mothers, and a lot of us do want thriving careers. But do we even take the time? Is there even the space to think through these decisions? Or do we feel required to step into these roles because it's what's expected, it's what we've seen, and it's what kind of culture demands in a way?
It does. I think it's interesting. I think in some shape or aspect, maybe let's go to the child one. That's quite an interesting one to talk about at the moment for a whole mix of reasons. So there's more and more women debating not to have children. There's more and more women maybe really wanting children, but maybe potentially not finding the right partner. And there's a huge conversation around why that is currently in society. Some women feel that, now they're not finding partners on the same level terms as them. And so there's lots of different reasons why we are having a drop in women having children. I think you said it's 2% every year it drops since 2014. So it is declining, and it's definitely not on the incline at all. But there's definitely a kind of a stigma around having this conversation. Why do you think we feel so ostracized and worried about having this conversation around children?
I think that, like your parents are sort of tiptoeing, I think that it's expected that we all 100% want children when we're small. That when we're kids, we are playing mommy and playing house. And that is just not always the case. And so I think the people who fall outside of that, I was not somebody who played with dolls. I was somebody who in my 20s basically said to my parents, if I meet the right person, if I meet somebody who I can envision doing this with, I want to do it. But will I do it just to do it? I'm not going to do that. I was pretty clear about that. But not everybody feels they can be so convicted like that. Not everybody knows what they feel, like we were talking about before. They feel sort of in this swirl of cultural expectation that, I secretly don't know if I want children. Maybe I do singularly want to focus on my career. And what is wrong with that? But because the conversations aren't being had out loud, or at least not frequently enough, people tend to then feel sort of ashamed. Am I bad? Is there something, quote unquote, wrong with me that I don't necessarily want to become a mother? Or that I would rather maybe wait until my 40s to become a mother and hope for the best then and see what that's like. We need to open up the conversation to be able to have multiplicity, that we can have multiple things happening in our lives at once.